thousands of names in a petition showing that I represent their interests and I want to make sure these things are abolished. These gag rules and confidentials were very prominent in the Nazi regime in Nazi Germany, and this is why people were put in the gas chambers. They were innocent people were had all their property stolen from them, and these gag rules and confidentials were very prominent in Nazi Germany. So we did point this out. Again, some of the Supreme Court judges were kind of putting their head down. They didn't want to really listen to us. There's a Rosemary Barquette. She'd been a former Catholic nun and a prominent lawyer and a law professor, and worked her way up to the Florida Supreme Court. And she stated very plainly, she said, I have never seen the Florida Supreme Court packed so solid. She said people are, even sitting in the front of the Supreme Court and listening to loudspeakers outside the Supreme Court, we cannot get that many people in here. So sure enough, she said, I'll be taking this into close consideration when I see that sign on that bus says, parents of murdered children. And if we don't protect the parents of murdered children, if we don't protect the children in the state of Florida, we are not doing our job properly. And that's probably why these people are here today. And I was very struck by this statement. And sure enough, we went on and showed the abuses and various cases where people's rights were destroyed in this legal system. And the next thing you know, we finished, and as soon as we finished, we had these flyers that we printed up under Court Watcher label, and it said that it's basically illegal for lawyers to be in public office. In other words, you cannot have the same people making the laws, interpret laws, enforce laws, because you've already violated the very cornerstone, which is separation of powers. You've got same hands control, which is exactly what James Madison, who was a political scientist and one of the founding fathers of the country, and he basically said, if the effective control of all three branches of government get under the single same hands control, then we will have tyranny and corruption, and there'll be nothing in the system to correct the problem. In other words, you couldn't go to the Nazi Party and say you're killing Jews. That was their purpose. You wouldn't go to the slave owners and saying you're abusing slaves. That was their purpose. You wouldn't go to the Ku Klux Klan, you're saying you're abusing the blacks. That was their purpose. Nor would you go to our corrupt legal system and saying we're getting abused, because it's their purpose. The lawyers in this country got a single same hands control, and they got a stranglehold in every single citizen in the state of Florida, and the average citizen is one frivolous lawsuit away from bankruptcy. And that's where we stand. So we've gone ahead. We put these flyers out all over the state capitol. We put it on every legislator's desk, every Supreme Court judge's desk. We put it on all the bureaucrats all over Tallahassee, and we let them know that our rights.
Well, that's Bob Bertran. We went to Florida, Miami, Florida. Bob, he fought a major battle. He had, as he told you, took a busload of people just to get the right to talk about your case, because the lawyers had such strangulating control. You couldn't even talk about your own case while it was going on. And no matter how much they abused you in court, you couldn't say anything. Well, he fought that battle, and Florida became the first. I think maybe there's three other states now, but that was the first state to break the gag rule order and say, this is wrong what they're doing. Just wrong, plain wrong. And he won. But he makes a very good argument. I wonder if you caught it. His argument is, and our founding father said, if you ever get one group that rules all three branches of government, then you've circumvented the separation of powers. And that's exactly what we have today. And what do we have? We got Obama Rama Drama, a Chicago shyster lawyer, who is now president, who got the Nobel Peace Prize. I think they ought to reconsider that, since he just decided to let our Air Force go bomb Libya just because we got nothing else for our Air Force to do. It ain't bad enough we're bombing people in other countries and just having wars against people that haven't attacked us in Afghanistan. To me, that's insane. And I used to know one of the descendants of the guy that set up the Nobel Peace Prize. I have photos of Mr. Nobel and me together at a resort in Wisconsin 40-some years ago, 45 years ago or more. But Bob's making a valid point. We got lawyers in the legislature. They should all be banned from the legislature. No lawyers in the legislature. They should be banned from the executive branch. And the only place they should be allowed to operate, if at all, is in the courts. But now they dominate everything. So you got the lawyer buddies writing the laws, the lawyer buddies enforcing the laws in the courts, and the lawyers buddies signing the laws as the executive. Supposing we had all garbage collectors. Supposing garbage collectors were 30 or 40, 50% of the state legislature. Garbage collectors ran the courts. And garbage collectors, you'd say, this is crazy, that's insane. Well, how about if we take plumbers and make plumbers 30% of the legislature is plumbers? Take any profession, talk show hosts. Would you like to have the state legislature filled with people like me and Bill O'Reilly, or I call him Bill O'Wrongley, and Nancy Disgrace? The lawyers just have too much control. And then there's the original 13th Amendment, which I played you the tape of, and it's on my YouTube. Go look at the missing 13th Amendment original on my YouTube channel. Al Adask has the original photocopies taken from all the state archives that proves what you and I have known as the 13th Amendment is really the 14th. The original 13th was ratified and completed at least by 1819 by Virginia. And it says if you hold an honor, a special privilege, you can't even vote, much less hold office. So all the lawyers that have this honor that they can do things the rest of us can't do, like run for DA, run for judge, they're illegal. They should all be arrested and removed because the 13th original amendment was ratified. Go look at my YouTube channel. I've got this interview with the guy that actually published the Anti-Shyster, a magazine that was operating about 20 years ago. His name is Alfred Adask. Now, we'll go back to Bob Bertrand. I bid you adieu. Hope you catch me next week. Remember, you can catch me on this channel in Santa Maria, 7:30, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and sometimes at noon. See you next week. Back to Bob Bertrand. Help save America.
The Dade County Bar Association forgot to incorporate their name when they started way back in 1926. They forgot to do it, so we took over the name and we put out all this material under the name of the Dade County Bar Association because they had forgotten to incorporate their name. We took over the name, and they didn't believe that we put out material that was inflammatory, but all this material was written by very prominent lawyers who were totally 100% behind us. One of the lawyers is a fellow by the name of Michael Mintz. He wrote a beautiful book called The Underground Lawyer, and it's a very prominent book and very well received all over the country. And a lot of lawyers have looked at it and they totally agree with him. They know the system's crooked and corrupt, and it's operated for the benefit of the lawyers. And again, Michael Mintz's book was very prominent in getting this thing done.
Mr. Bertrand, you just got a call from Barbara Parmentier, who's ripped off by attorneys up in the state of Oregon. And I want to ask you, is it true, have you ever heard the slogan, "You're innocent until proven broke"? And how long did it take for the Supreme Court of the state of Florida to do away with the gag orders? And is this the first state that happened in?
Yes, these gag rules and confidentiality rules were totally illegal. They were used in Nazi Germany. And this place had no place in the judicial system in the state of Florida because you weren't dealing with criminals. In Nazi Germany, they weren't dealing with criminals, but they used them anyway because that's the type of people they were, and that's why Germany was crushed, and people are still having to pay for the damage they've caused. But the basic thing is that these gag rules and confidential rules have no place in the history of this country. And the way the Bar Association used them was basically silence the people against any complaints against lawyers. In other words, if a lawyer financially raped you, if he lied, he cheated, he stole, he gave false testimony against you, these lawyers are protected by these unconstitutional gag rules and confidential rules. And again, over a period of time, there's several people all over the country who have called me about it in other states, and they want to abolish their gag rules and confidential rules. And of course, it's a big step forward because the bar associations are probably prepared for us. But it can happen, and I urge everyone in the country to take these steps, move forward. If you have to charter a bus, you have to take a petition, you have to get a a lawyer or a non-lawyer to speak up for you. I urge you not to pay too much for them, because sometimes the chances are slim to none that there's a possibility of winning. The lawyer may turn coat on you and something could go down the drain. If the people speak up themselves, and I'm quite sure there's very eloquent speakers all over the state, is to get rid of these things. These things are a blockade in the whole system of justice. And again, I mentioned that they were used in Nazi Germany, to silence the people. And I think it's about time that people in this country realize that there was no place in our judicial system, and especially to protect the corrupt lawyers and judges that operate this system.
And why did it take 3 months after that hearing?
The basic thing, they wanted to show that they'd taken every consideration, and they had to make sure that certain powers that be were satisfied that there was no return for the Bar Association. The people actually hated lawyers, they mistrusted them, and they realized that they didn't want to cause a revolution, so they better give in and abolish these things. And direct testimony from some judges and lawyers themselves came to me directly, and they said these things are unconstitutional, they shouldn't be used, and they were very happy that the Florida Bar changed their mind, and the Florida Supreme Court changed their mind and abolished these unconstitutional devices used against the people.
But that was 1993, and now it's 2011, and you have crooked lawyers, as if there's some other kind. I think, it's redundant. Crooked and lawyer are the same thing.
Same thing.
But you had this Rothstein embezzle over $1 billion. Yeah, there was no muzzling of anything. There was no gag order, but he still was able to steal. So what's the next step? Where are we going to go to stop these crooked lawyers?
You have to remember the chronology of events. Scott Rothstein was on the Florida Bar Grievance Committee. He's one of the top people in the Grievance Committee, so he's able to have an awful lot of power over the whole legal system. He's also on the Judicial Nomination Commission. And then, like I say, he went out, and after he got these positions, he got in power, basically everybody's afraid of him, because it's a power struggle inside the bar. They want to make sure that the crookedest people are at the top of the system, and they got the most power. So in order to go along, you got to get along, and to get along with the thing, you cover everything up. This Rothstein firm was, like I say, $1.2 billion scam operation, and they had, they donated $10 million to the Holy Cross Hospital in Fort Lauderdale. They donated to all the judicial campaigns. They gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to the gubernatorial races and senatorial races, the House of Representatives, and they in other words, they're paying. They got to pay to get along and go along at the same time, and that's how they operate. Money talks and something else walks.